Okay, so if you missed class today, we continued on with our science investigation with our bottle flipping. So today, what you needed to write down were your materials. All right, everyone needs bottle and water, but you may need, depending on what you decided as your independent variable, let's say that you decided on different surfaces. You may need to add carpet right here or tile right here if you're using different surfaces. So depending on your independent variable, you may need more materials. You might not though. Then we'll move on to procedures. And you're writing all of this on the exact same page where you started last Thursday with your question and your hypothesis, so you can just continue on the same page. And so for the procedures, step number 1 is flip the bottle 10 times. And depending on your independent variable, for instance, if you were doing your independent variable different amounts of water, maybe yours would be flip the bottle 10 times with no water. And then record how many times the bottle lands and doesn't land. Then repeat step 1 using 1/4 full, 1/2 full, completely full, and then record the data. That could possibly be what you had. But let's say that you chose your independent variable as being the position in which you are. So for instance, flip the bottle 10 times standing might be your first one. And then as you repeat steps 1 using kneeling, and sitting, and record the data. So that might be what you had. This fill in the blank is based on what you used for your independent variable. So you want to go ahead and pause the video and get your materials and your procedures written down in your science notebook. Moving on. The next thing you need to do is set up your data chart for your independent variable. Now notice over here for my independent variable, I chose empty, a fourth full, half full, completely full. Depending on what yours is, maybe your first one is standing because you're doing positions. And then your second one could be kneeling. And your third one could possibly be sitting. So based on what you chose to change for your independent variable, that's what you're putting in this first column. Yours could possibly be carpet, tile, and wood. It just depends what you chose last week as your independent variable, and that's what's going to go in the first column. Now the second column, everyone's going to have lands up and doesn't land up, because when we actually do our investigation tomorrow, I will do like 10 bottle flips with it empty, and I will record my data of how many landed and how many didn't land it. And then I'll do the same thing for a fourth full, a half full, completely full, and I will fill in my data chart. So go ahead and pause the video and make your data chart based on your independent variable. Then in math class today, we looked at standard form, expanded form, and word form of numbers. Now, standard form is the number form which we normally see. So in this case, 45,831. Now, you've been doing expanded form, since you were probably in second grade, and you have seen it where they pull apart the values. So for this one, you've probably seen it as 40,000 plus 5,000. Oh, my stylus isn't working all that great right now. There we go. Plus 800 plus 30 plus 1. And that is one way to do expanded form. But last week we learned there are other ways to show values. For instance, we could call this 40,000. We could write it instead as 4 times 10,000 plus, and instead of using just 5,000, we could call that 5 times 1,000. My stylus is not working all that well, doing my best here. Then plus, and then we could call this 800, 8 times 100, plus this 30 could be 3 times 10, and then we have just plus 1. That's another way to show expanded form. Now I've got a third way using our powers of 10. Remember those exponents? We could call this, instead of 4 times 10,000, we could call this 4 times 10 to the power of, I've got 4 zeros, to the power of 4, plus 5 times 10 to the power of 3, plus 8 times 10 to the power of 2, plus 3 times 10 to the power of 1, plus 1. So that's another way to show expanded form. So these are 3 different ways to show expanded form. So if you have not copied this into your notes, you want to go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and get those 3 ways copied down. And finally, we're looking into word form. Now, word form is just using words, and however you say the number, you write it down. So if we have 45,000, I'll start there, 45,000. And then since I hit a comma in the number, I put a comma in my word form. And then we have 831. 831. And that is how you would put it in word form. It's just like saying it out loud and writing it in words instead of numbers. And so make sure that you have all of this, as these examples, in your math notebook. Copy those down. So if you need to pause the video, go ahead. Then what we also did is we compared using our less than, greater than, or equal to, and a lot of times we think of them as our alligator mouths, and we have the alligator eat the bigger number. So both of these numbers, you'll notice they both have 6 digits. So I'm going to go all the way to the front and I'm going to start comparing. And I've got a 2 and a 2. Then I've got a 3 and a 4. Ooh, this 4 right here is bigger than this 3, which means that this is the bigger number where the alligator mouth is going to eat and chomp down. So we have 234,691 is less than 243,691. Let's take a look at the next one. Now the next one, both of these have 5 digits. So we go to the front and we start with a 5 and a 6. Oh, well, absolutely. The 6 that stands for 60,000 is going to be bigger than this 5 that only stands for 50,000. So our alligator is going to want to eat that one. So we've got 56,150 is less than 65,150. Our last example, we have 6 digits in both of these. So I start at the front. We've got a 7 and a 7. We've got an 8 and an 8. We've got a 9 and a 9. We have a 6, a 6, a 2, a 2, a 4, and a 4. They're the same, which means that they are equal in that one. All right, so for your homework, you're going to complete the extra practice, which is on Canvas. It's a worksheet, and then you're going to upload it. You're also going to do your extra math, just like you do every day, and your weekly 10, there's a new one on there that is due on Friday. Additionally, we looked at IXL on Clever, and you will need to do the diagnostic by Thursday. So we're not having small group this week. In the afternoon, you're going to be working on this diagnostic for IXL, which is in Clever. If you have any questions, of course, you can email me.